to Unit 2. You are 25% through with Business 210, Principles of Management with Professor Joe Lane. Hope Unit 1 went well for you. You should really be into the swing of how to do things, whether you're an online student that's taking my class or whether we're doing it kind of a hybrid. We should really be kind of online with each other and together on how we do these things. And again, I think you'll find that with the study notes, with the videos, with the talking about the no's to be familiar with, the opportunity to contact me if you have problems or this sort of thing, we should be doing well. Hope you did great in Unit 1. Looking forward to even better things in Unit 2. Let me kind of describe, and I'm going to erase this. In chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we just got through with, we just went all over the place. Chapter 1 was Here's Management. Chapter 2, we went to Management School. So chapter 1, Here's Management. Chapter 2, we went to Management School, the science of management. Chapter 3, I think, was the chapter that we talked about stakeholders, ethics, social responsibility, and that sort of thing. We completely shifted gears again. And then in chapter 4, we talked about globalization, trade protectionism, all that sort of thing. So in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, we've been moving around. Now our author's going to change on us, and he's saying, okay, you remember those 4 functions that all managers perform? I hope you remember those because that was a no on test number 1. He said, here's what we're going to do from here on out. Chapters 5, 6, and 7 are going to be about planning. Chapters 8, 9, and 10 are going to be about organizing. Chapters 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are going to be about leading. And I got one little chapter, chapter 16, that is going to be about control. So the rest of the book is going to be broken up into chapters and things about planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. So we're not jumping around a whole lot. We're pretty focused now. So chapter 5, which is the chapter we're doing today, talks about planning, the foundation. Now, if you were to ask me, which of the 4 functions are most important? Planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. I'd say I can't answer that. Sometimes planning's most important because managers do all 4. Sometimes leading most important. Sometimes control. If your ship is getting off course, if your department's getting off course, the most important function you're going to be working on is control, getting it back. So it just kind of depends. So they're all important, and one may be a little more important at one time than another. But I will say this. At some point, planning should have come first. I say should have, and hopefully did. In the beginning, there should have been planning. When you start the company, you start the department, you start the division, you start whatever, it should start with planning. So I guess the statement I would make is all 4 functions are very, very important. Sometimes one may be more important than another at given times. However, planning should have started first. So I think that's why he probably talks about planning as being the foundation of successful management. Because if you don't start with planning, you don't start off very well. But then once you get started and moving, then it's continually planning, organizing, leading, directing, planning, organizing, leading, directing. Okay. I'm going to fill in the blanks on this. Now, I'm looking at your handout for chapter 5. Not bad. We've got us a little graph here. Let's start off with a definition of planning. Because chapters 5, 6, and 7 are going to be talking about planning. Time for a definition. Actually, 2 definitions. for planning. Definition number 1, planning has to do with setting goals and how to achieve them. Setting goals and how to achieve them. Isn't that what you do when you plan? You plan out certain things. You maybe plan your day to day. Now, that doesn't mean that plans don't change sometimes, but if I'm going to plan out the day, I say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do, and here's how I'm going to do it. Okay. I wanted to cover so many chapters today when I came up here to record. So I started off by knowing here's what time I need to get up. Here's what time I need to be doing this, and this. So I set my goals, and then I decided how I was going to achieve them. That's one. Now here's the other definition. Planning is coping with uncertainty. Do we have uncertainty? Yes. Do businesses have uncertainty? We are a very changing, volatile society. And so there's uncertainty out there. Is coping with uncertainty by formulating future courses of action to achieve specified results. Hey, look, the world's uncertain. Maybe some things about my life are uncertain, or this is uncertain. But one of the things that I can do to help as far as the uncertainty is, I can go ahead and formulate future courses of action to achieve specified results. Even in this world of uncertainty, that doesn't mean I just wait for everything to become certain. Not going to happen. 2 definitions. I want you to know them both. Both. Setting goals and determining how to achieve them. Coping with uncertainty by formulating future courses of action to achieve specified results. Now, along with this chapter, he throws out the word strategy. Have I told y'all I'm a bad speller? Oh, I thought I probably had. I'm not proud of being a bad speller, but sometimes I will spell something and I'm not sure, I think that worked well. So if it's really, really bad, I'm sorry, but I'll try to make sure I spell it. At least you can figure out what it is I'm trying to spell, and I'll probably pronounce it a couple times. Is strategy important? When you say you're going to plan your strategy, is that usually kind of an important thing? When an athletic team plans its strategy, is that usually pretty important? May an athletic team plan one strategy for one opponent and a different strategy for another? Businesses, when they are planning their strategy, is that pretty important? Yeah. Might they plan one strategy for one situation, another strategy for a different other situation, maybe one strategy for one product, another strategy for a different product? Yeah, they may. So strategy, I put down here, is a large-scale action plan that sets the direction for an organization. Once you have come up with your plans, planning is setting your goals. Then you've got to come up with a strategy to accomplish those goals. By the way, we'll talk about it in a few minutes, but the strategy to accomplish those goals is called an action plan. So whenever you're doing planning, you set goals and then you set action plans, because action plans are your statement of how you're going to achieve them. Okay. Now there's something else that I've got to throw in here. We've got to throw in some heavy stuff in chapter 5. Strategic management. You see where I put down here, I guess you probably, what are you doing? If planning is peanut butter, strategic management is is jelly. Okay, all right. Planning and strategic management go together like peanut butter and jelly. They have to fit together. If you are going to do successful planning, if you're going to set goals and an effective strategy, you have to also utilize strategic management. So let me go ahead and talk about what strategic management is. If you got goals, if you've got plans pretty well, both definitions, they're not too hard. Strategic management is used in conjunction with planning. This is a no also, strategic management. A process, now what's a process? If you say something's a process, it's ongoing, has steps, it's ongoing. A process that involves managers from all parts of the organization. So let's make this an organization here. This is the top. This will be middle. Done this already. And this is supervisory. Different levels. Okay. So, strategic management, the process that involves managers from all parts of the organization in the formulation and implementation of strategies and strategic goals. Okay. Strategic goals. What managers do you think determine the strategic goals of an organization? Probably top. Because top managers are the ones that are looking at longer term direction for the company. And we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But I'm kind of jumping ahead. So these folks are the folks that are going to be determining the strategic goals. A process that involves managers from all parts of the organization in the formulation and implementation of strategies and strategic goals. Okay, so if these are the folks that are actually going to be formulating them, why get these people involved? Just do it myself. I may be the ones that's formulating these at top management. Who's going to implement it? A lot of the implementation is going to be done here and here. So if you want your strategic goals to be carried out and to be successful, these are the folks that's going to be involved in doing it. That makes sense? That makes sense? Okay. I'm formulating, I being top management, the strategic goals. What did we say we're doing here? We are formulating the formulating and implementation of strategic goals. So I'm formulating and implementing. Do I know everything? When I'm putting these things together, is it a good idea for me to have an idea of what's going on down here? It really is, isn't it? Okay. So when you get these people involved, you find out what's going on down here. You find out the resources available, the capabilities that are available, the needs that may be there. And these people, these folks in middle and supervisory level, man, they can lend a lot to your formulation and implementation of strategic goals. So they can help you. And what happens when you get people involved with things? If they feel like they have a part in putting it together, does that give them more of a buy-in? It does, doesn't it? They buy into it. Not only that, they understand it. We talked about one of the skills that managers need are analytical skills, conceptual skills. This gives them the opportunity to conceptualize, to see, to be a part. So I guess my question would be, not why would you include middle and supervisory management in long-term stuff? I guess my question would be, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Process that involves managers from all parts of the organization in the formulation and the implementation of strategies and strategic goals. These folks have the responsibility for it, but for a lot of reasons, get these folks involved. If you want to be an effective planner, if you want to set goals and how to achieve them, action plans, and you're doing the strategic ones at this level, you can't do it in isolation. You need to include with your planning strategic management, getting all these folks involved in it. It's your responsibility, but these are valuable resources to help you formulate and implement, because who's going to implement 90% of it? These folks here. And if they understand it, they buy into it, makes it all the better. Now, he talks about how does planning work, the fundamentals of planning. I think I've already told you, you need to know what planning is, both definitions. You need to be familiar with what strategy is, and you need to know what strategic management is. Fundamentals of planning. Mission statement. What companies need a mission statement? Or I'll expand it. A mission statement and a vision statement. What's a mission statement? It's your reason for being. What's a vision? It's what you want to become. Why is this company here? What's the purpose of this company? That's the mission statement. Where is it going? That's the vision. What company should have a mission statement and a vision? Every single one of them. If you don't know what your purpose is and you don't know where you're going, you ain't going to be too successful. And that's true for you too. And that's true for me. Now, probably if I walked up to you and said, what's your mission statement? You'd say, what? But you have a mission statement. What's your purpose? What's your reason for being? Does it change sometimes? Those of you that at one time were single and are now married, and if you are married with children, would you say your mission statement and your visions have changed? Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I understand that very well. Okay. So, mission statement and vision. Then, strategic planning. Now, since we've got it on the handout, I'm just going to put strategic planning right here, because we know that is at the top of the organization. You do strategic planning and you set certain goals and objectives long term. I hope that's what it said. Top management, long term, 1 to 5 years with available resources. So top management does strategic planning. Do they do it by themselves? Nope. Because they also use strategic management. They involve others. Kind of fits, huh? Beginning to fit together. Then if top management does strategic planning, then middle management does tactical planning. They set goals and objectives a little shorter term. Now let's stop and think for a second. This is really kind of neat stuff when you get a feel for it. What does top management use? What's a major thing they use to set their strategic plans? Anybody? Your purpose and where you're headed. What my purpose is and where I'm headed is going to determine my strategic plans, my long-term goals and objectives. Tactical plans, shorter-term goals and objectives. Where do they come from? Well, how does middle management figure out these? From here, based upon these long-term plans, goals and objectives. And remember, you've got to have an action plan. You set these. Middle management can't do this until these folks do this. Then you've got operational planning. That's that day-to-day stuff. That's those first line supervisors. I'm going to say those are goals, objectives, I'm going to call them something else too, day to day. These are like policies, procedures, rules, that sort of thing. This is day-to-day stuff. Where does this come from? Here. Does that make sense? It comes from there. First line, specific task with available resources. He says 1 to 52 weeks. Now they put some times on here, and I'll do that. 1 to 52 weeks, short term. What did he say for these? 6 to 24 months. And long term, I think 1 to 5 years. Used to companies would plan for 15, 20, 25 years ahead. You can't do that anymore. Things are changing so quickly, technology, all the different, remember we talked about those general environments? All that stuff is changing so quickly now, you can't do that. You can't possibly, you can do it on paper, but it doesn't mean anything. Because it changes ways. You can't, if you can get a 5-year strategic plan, you're doing pretty darn good. Now they may have something longer, but it's more wishful thinking than it is true planning. Okay, so we've got those. Now, the way I have this, and I don't know how you printed yours, but I'm getting ready to turn it over, and I put a little handout in here for you, fundamentals of planning, and it's not the easiest for me to read, but the mission statement, what is our reason for being, vision, what do we want to become, strategic planning done by top management for the next 5 years, tactical planning done by middle management for the next 6 to 24 months, operational planning. I just threw this in here, this little page. But back here, I drew the pyramid. So we're going to be filling in some blanks on the pyramid. I want to show you something that I didn't put on the pyramid, and I may erase it in a minute. And I want you to get a feel for something. What did we say? What companies have a vision and a mission statement? All companies. Okay. Based upon vision and mission statement, what does top management do? They develop strategic plans, strategic objectives, and action plans. Based upon strategic planning, middle management develops tactical plans and tactical goals and objectives. And based upon those shorter term tactical plans, these folks down here put together day-to-day, week-to-week plans. And day-to-day, week-to-week goals and objectives. You see how that flows? You see how that flows? Now remember though, when these people did this, based upon this, they got others involved. That's strategic management, and that's smart. But you see how it flows. And you see also why I said you have to get these people involved. Because once this is done, these are the folks that carry most of it out. Is that still making sense? Now, I want you to look at something else. Let me give you an example of operational plans. This is free. We'll come back to this later, okay? Long-term goals and objectives. Let's say that the company, they want a 6% increase in market share for their company. They want the company to have 6% more of the market share. Take it away from somebody else. As a result of that, middle management comes up and says, to increase the market share, we need to introduce 2 new products. So they're working on 2 new products. At this level, to keep making the products we're making, introduce 2 new products, we're going to have to increase productivity by 12%. We're going to have X number more overtime. We're going to have to hire a couple more people. This is how we're going to have to schedule production for the next week. You see the idea? They're doing very, very specific stuff. These are shorter term, but not day to day. These are 1 to 5 year. So it gets more specific as you go down. Now, again, I don't want to complicate this thing with too much stuff. You got enough. Okay. For the tactical plans to be accomplished, the tactical goals and objectives and action plans to be accomplished, what has to be accomplished first? These. That day-to-day stuff has to happen for us to get this short-term stuff done. For the long-term stuff to be accomplished, what has to be accomplished first? This stuff. You have to accomplish this to accomplish this. And for the vision or the mission statement to be accomplished, what has to be accomplished first? This stuff. You see how it flows? You see how it flows? Based on your mission and your vision, mission and vision statement, you develop your strategic plans and goals. Based upon them, you develop your tactical plans and goals. Based upon them, you develop your operational plans and goals. But these have to be achieved first before these can be achieved, which has to be achieved before these are achieved, before you can achieve this. You see why strategic management is so important? Takes everybody. Takes everybody. It flows down, but the actual doing it flows up. Anytime you have a problem, going up or going down, you're going to have problems with being successful. Okay. I think we've got mission statement, we've got vision, strategic planning, tactical planning, operational planning, we've got that. Somewhere, I cut it off on your handout, but I threw over here on the side, this, and by the way, I want you to be familiar with mission statement, vision statement, strategic, tactical, and operational planning. If you can see this, everything I highlighted in yellow, that stuff as I go through here, I'm going to say you need to be familiar with. If you see it in kind of that purple look, that's a no. Kind of like over here on the first page, that's some no's. All right. I kind of cut off over here the purpose of planning. So, you already know this, we've already said it, but the purpose of planning is to set goals. Remember in the definition, how to achieve them. And I would say that set goals and to formulate an action plan. The purpose of planning is to set goals and an action plan. Purpose of planning, set goals, action plan. Just be familiar with that. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's all about. And then over here, I guess I didn't define this. So let me do this and be familiar with this. What is a goal? You know what a goal is, huh? About 11 months ago, I had a pretty good surgery, unexpectedly, last September. And then, making a good recovery from surgery, about 3 or 4 months after that, I took a really bad fall and bruised myself up incredibly bad. Couldn't even drive. So I'm a runner. I've been running and racing for 35 or more years. So one of the goals that I set for myself was getting back running. So I was doing pretty well with that goal until I took the really bad fall, and that set me back. I had a hard time getting up and down for a while, but after all that went away, So one of the goals that I've had is to to get back into my running and everything, which I have done, and I am the goal that I had for myself for the first year after surgery to be ready to run 5Ks and that sort of thing. I'm pretty much going to meet that goal. So, so that was kind of a big goal for me to be able to do that. You have all kind of goals. You have all kind of goals yourself. So what are goals? One of your goals is to get the heck out of this class and get this business and technology degree. An Associate of Applied Science in Business and Technology. It's really helpful for your career. Really helpful. Goals is a specific commitment to achieve a measurable result within a stated period of time. A goal is a specific commitment. I'm committing to this to achieve a measurable result. There's something, this is what I'm going to be ready for a 5K by a certain time. That's a measurable result within a stated period of time. So I'd be familiar with what goals are. That's on your handout as well. Now, one other thing here that I didn't give you much help with is I said that goals need to be smart. When people are putting together goals, you talked about they should be smart goals. Okay, so I wrote it down there for you, and I want you to know it. This is probably your third no. I want you to know the two definitions of planning. I want you to know what strategic management is, and I want you to know what SMART goals are. SMART goals. For goals to be effective, they got to be smart. Specific. Well, Joe, do you have a goal for yourself? Yeah, I do. I want to be a better person. What does that mean? How can I do that? I mean, that's hard. So what does it take? I want to stop and smell the roses. What? You can't. If you want to have a goal that you're trying to attain, to put together an action plan and to attain, remember we said goals, a commitment to achieve a measurable result within a state. It's a commitment to achieve. So first of all, goals need to be specific. Remember this company here a few minutes ago, a 6% increase in market share. That's pretty specific, isn't it? My goal is to graduate with an AAS in Business and Technology from Delta Community College by fall of 2021. Now, sometimes your goals have to be altered, sure. But you set a specific goal and you come up with an action plan. So goals need to be specific and they need to be measurable. If you can't measure them, you don't know whether you're there or not. We want to increase our market share. Okay. Well, guess what, boss? We've increased our market share 4%. Well, that's not enough. Well, what do you mean it's not enough? I want more. What do you want? You got to have something that's specific and it's something you can measure. Can you measure if you have increased your market share by 6%? Yes, you can. Can you measure if you have increased your productivity by 15%? Yes. Now, Goals down here are probably going to be more specific than goals up here. But you want them to be as specific as possible, and you want them to be measurable, attainable. Well, by this September, I want to be running marathons again. Man, it wasn't going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. I didn't have the time and to come back from the surgery / and the fall. That was not attainable. Wasn't realistic. A 5K, 5 miles, that's realistic, but not 26. Now, if my goal had been walk across the street, that's not much of a goal. Okay? So you want to stretch in a business, you want to stretch yourself. Based on your mission statement and your vision, you want to stretch yourself some. You want to move and stretch yourself. But it's got to be attainable. You can't, because if the goal is completely unattainable, these people won't buy in. Don't blame them. Results oriented. Your goals should be about expected results. Did it say something like that? A specific commitment to achieve a measurable result. It should be specific, it should be measurable, it should be attainable, and it should end up with a particular result. And then last one, target dates. Target date or dates. You ever procrastinate? I had a student last semester in this particular class. You have to do, in this entire course, you do a mini assignment on ethics and social responsibility. You do a mini assignment on leadership. You do a management news article. All of this is in your contract document. And you do a research paper. And we talked about all of those a little bit in the introductory video. About 2 weeks into the class, it may have been 3 weeks into the class, a person at the beginning of the class came up and handed me some papers. I thought, what is this? They handed me both mini assignments, the management news article, and the research paper. We're about 3 weeks in the class. Well, the first thing my first thought that came to mind was, you better take these back, make sure you understand what you're doing before you try to do them. But I thought, don't want to do that. So I took them, put them in my folder, my class folder, and then later on I took them out and looked at them. They were very well done. They were very well done. That person had made sure that they read the chapter that was appropriate to whatever the mini assignment or whatever it was. And they did all of it within 3 weeks. How often do you do all of your assignments in your course within 3 weeks? Probably not. How often do I get that far ahead? Never. So the idea is you got to set target dates, and that's why I have set target dates for you for each of these things. But all that doesn't have to be turned in. You have a whole semester to do it, and I think I have set reasonable target dates for us on everything. Okay, that's enough. That's enough on that. I want you to know what SMART goals are. All right, let me see what else we have in here. I enjoy planning. The thing I enjoy about the chapter on planning, how it all fits together. You start looking at this, this stuff fits together. It really, really does. It really does. We've talked about the pyramid pretty well. Now, right below the pyramid, he talks about the action plan and the operating plan. Now, wait a minute. We haven't talked anything about an operating plan. Right, so let's get this. An action plan, the course of action needed to achieve the stated goal. Got it. Goal, action plan. Goal, action plan. All right. Now, but think about it this way. You have a particular goal, and then you come up with an action plan. I have a goal of getting out of Delta with a degree in business by the fall of 2021. My action plan is I'm going to do this semester, this semester, this semester. That's my action plan. Okay. Based upon that goal and based upon that action plan, day in and day out, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be going to class, you're going to be reading, you're going to be doing this. Here's how I'm going to be acting. Here's how my life is going to be. This week I'm recording a whole bunch of videos. My goal is to get a certain number of videos done, and I have an action plan to do it. My action plan has a lot to do with what I'm going to do this week, this day, this day, this day. As a result of that action plan, I'm doing certain stuff. I'm taking certain actions. I'm doing certain stuff. That's the operations plan. All right, let's look at it. The action plan is the course of action needed to achieve the stated goal. So many videos, so many days, that sort of thing. The operating plan, typically designed for 1 year, defines how you will conduct your business based on the action plan. So what am I going to be doing in the next year? What am I going to be doing between now and the fall of 2021 to achieve my action plan, to achieve my goals? Does that make sense? I want you to be familiar with what an action plan is. I want you to be familiar with what an operating plan is. 3 more things. We got chapter 5. There are 2 types of plans. Well, there are standing plans and there are single-use plans. Standing plans, that's where I talked about them a little bit here. There are certain plans that, someplace you work, you have certain policies, certain procedures, certain rules that you have to follow. They're there all the time. Those, in essence, those are plans. Those are plans that have been put in place to require certain things and that sort of thing. Okay? So those are standing plans. Those are plans that how does he say this? Develop for activities that occur repeatedly over a period of time. You may have policy as it relates to vacation. You're going to have procedures and rules as it relates to when you come to work, when you go home, your lunch hour. Could have some procedures about how the productivity is going to be doing. If you're in sales, there's certain policies and procedures about that. So those are plans and policies and procedures and rules that are in place. They're there all the time. Single-use plans, that's probably not too hard, is it? Those are plans that you just use and then they normally go away for projects or programs. We have some plans in place for this particular project. Once we get this project done, those go away. Those are no longer plans that we're going to be using because they were put together for a specific purpose, a specific project, that sort of thing. Last thing in this chapter. Okay. I don't know why he put this in this chapter, but he did, and so I just want us to be familiar with it. He talks about management by objectives. MBO is a way to motivate employees. A 4-step process for motivating employees. And it talks about how setting objectives and this sort of thing can motivate employees. Again, not exactly sure why he put it in here at this particular point, but I know what MBO or management by objective is. Here's what I want you to be familiar with. management by objectives is a 4-step process for motivating employees. That's all. So if I have a matching on the class, on test number 2, unit 2, MBO, management by objectives, over here I put 4-step process. I want you to be able to match that up. MBO, used for motivating employees. I want you to be able to match that up. What I want you to be familiar with. Okay, that pretty much takes care of chapter 5. You had several no's in chapter 5, and you probably figure, because chapter 5 is the first of 3 chapters on planning. Now, if you like this business stuff, and I hope you do, because if you don't, I know this is probably tough, but I'm assuming you like it or you wouldn't be in business 210. Isn't it neat how this stuff fits together? Isn't it neat how in an organization all this has to work in harmony? Now, am I saying it always works perfectly? No. Let me ask you this question. If you make a change down here in your operational plans, is that a big deal? Not really. Last week we used 45 hours of overtime. This week I think we're going to use 30. And I've scheduled 30 hours of overtime. I think that'll be enough. Not a big deal. But if you make a change at this level, wow. Think about this. What if your mission statement and your vision changes? Would that be humongous for your company? Oh my gosh, yes. It means that your reason for being and where you're headed is completely changed. What would that cause? A lot of change? Absolutely. Everything would have to change. All of this. Let me give you and now, you can make a change down here pretty quick. Up here it may take years. Let me give you an example of a company, CenturyLink. CenturyLink was a telephone company in Oak Ridge, Louisiana. We had operators, may I help you? Switchboard. And then, CenturyLink went through, and it was Century, then it was CenturyTel, I think, and then CenturyLink. They used to sell, they were in the telephone business. They sold telephones and all this kind of stuff. To a great extent, the mission and the vision of CenturyLink has changed. They're still in the communications business, but very, very different now than servicing the telephone customers in Oak Ridge, Louisiana, right? As a result of that, the company has changed in its entirety. Okay, that's enough. That's chapter 5 on one of our first of our 3 chapters on planning. Our author loved strategic management so much, guess what? He devoted a whole chapter to it. So chapter 6 is going to be about strategic management and how you develop it, how you do it, how you implement it along with your planning. That concludes chapter 5. Thank you for being with me on this chapter. I enjoy this. It's like working a puzzle. I'm going to make the loud noise so my executive producer, Professor Ryan Pierce, knows that we have finished a video and he can slot that in the proper place. By the way, I don't know if any of y'all know Professor, a lot of y'all probably do know Professor Pierce. Really great guy. A great guy to work for like that I do. He's my boss. Also, he really enjoys students, really cares for students and that sort of thing. You may tell him sometime when you see him, hey, you did a good job of putting those videos. He puts some music to begin these videos and stuff. He really spices this thing up. So you need to brag on the videos and all of that stuff. That'll make you feel good. Okay, that's enough. I will see you in chapter 6.